one challenge as a teacher that I face, and obviously you are also facing it with the new kind of people who are coming into your organization. We call them the Gen Zs, but not all are Gen Zs. These are, but this need for constant approbation, right? Like giving them a participation certificate every day. Arey, you came to office on time, congratulations. Arey, you sat on your desk, congratulations. You opened up your laptop without forgetting your password, congratulations. Right? So this constant need, it's tiring. So that's the thing I'm also looking at, that as a professor, well, I have the liberty to call out without people, going and complaining to my boss that this guy is difficult. But how do you manage? How do you be nice?
I think it's the same as parenting. We face it with kids also, You have to have a set of rules. And you have to, whether it's parents or the students, you have a set of rules and they are non-negotiable. It's clearly understood. Ground rules are understood. Like I used to work for Infosys, and one of the co-founders was my boss's boss to us. He had a simple rule. You are late, there's a box kept, you just don't talk, you just put a pretty large sum in those days, money into that. Those days there was no UPI, so you had to put the money. It's very strict. So, these are things which it is like conditioning. Once you demonstrate that these rules work, they are there for a good purpose, then it's for the person to adjust. So even students, you don't turn up even when I go for my guest lectures, there are people who keep chatting, I call them out. I don't want to be nice about it. I'll call them out. I said that, excuse me, you have something urgent, please step out. If you want, we'll wait for you to come back, So I think you have definitely, from a position of authority or a learning, which as a professor you have, definitely you can put ground rules, and that doesn't mean that you're not that doesn't mean you're difficult. You are trying to impose a discipline because it's for everybody's good. It's not for one person.
Yeah, and that's when I think the policies come in play, right? Because we do the induction with all this Gen Z's youngsters before we hire them, that these are the policies and the framework within which you're expected to work. Anything beyond this, it's not unacceptable.
But hasn't it changed over time? I mean, when I was working first job, policies were sacrosanct. Now, obeying a policy needs you a medal. Right? You have read the case and come to, wow. Right? I mean, earlier it was a hygiene factor. I mean, if I've given you a case, you are supposed to read that and come to class. But have you read the case? Oh, very good, very good. 2 marks for appearing.
Sir, actually, not entirely I'll agree with you, because it is not like that entirely this thing. So actually the values have changed with the generation. So they get motivated not by the same stuff that we were getting motivated, right? So I am surrounded by 200 people who are less than probably 30 or in the 22 to 25 brackets, right? So what we try to do is we try to measure their outcome. We try to hold them to their outcomes, not to whether they are coming to office or they are working from Nainital or Mumbai. That is something, as long as the outcome is there. And many of these people, youngsters, they give much better output. And they are lazy, but they figure out a way to deliver. Like Rohit Sharma hits a 6, it looks like this guy will sleep. He is lazy, but he hits a 6. It's 6 is a 6. And this guy, the Virat Kohli, he is extremely fit. And he also puts a lot of effort and hits a 6. But ultimately, outcome is always a 6, right? So we try to measure them in the outcome. And in this generation also, we see guys are smarter. Just the values and ethics have changed, but these are smarter generation, and I have very good faith in this young generation actually.
No, I think luckily, touchwood, I'm blessed with the best set of Gen Zs. For them, the motivation, as he said, is very different. For us, because when we were growing up, monetary situations, these that are not as what they face right now. Their parents are doing well, they don't have money, as the motivator. For them, you have to give them responsibility. You have to say, okay, this is the thing, ownership is this, it's yours. For me, I mean, we did the 1.8 launch, and I'm sure most of you would have seen it on the internet. It was like as if we hacked all your systems. But the 1.8 launch was led by these youngsters, and we were given projects, we were given responsibilities. Okay, you know, Deepika, because you've done this in the past, you do FNB for the launch. You know, but it was the project management and all of this was done by, I think it's the responsibilities, the motivation for them is on that. They want to have a seat at the table. They don't, I mean, it's not about, you know, we have flexi hours in Agilitas, but then we don't see people come, like in the beginning, people would come in at 12 and leave. Then we said, ki in a town hall, it was just an announcement that, guys, you know, even though we have flexi hours, some discipline has to be maintained. You have to just make it like that. You have to make things very clear to them. Of course, there's a downside that, okay, when because we were a smaller team, they were doing more work. Now the team has become bigger. There's responsibilities that have spread. So then they come to us and they say, okay, give me a role. What is the clarity? So I think that clarity is what they require. I think otherwise they are, yeah.
Completely agree. I think we take a too much dump on the Gen Z, all of that, right? I think the culture has changed, right? During our time, we blindly followed rules. Like we were afraid to ask questions, right? I think that has changed. We can't expect the simple.
Seeing Mahabharata.
Exactly. We can't ask questions. We were scared to even talk to your parents sometimes, right? Ask questions. This generation is different. They want the context. They are not afraid to ask questions. You give them the responsibility. I think they will find a way to do it. I think what we really link is, I never ask question to my manager. How is he ask question? He's difficult. I don't think so. I think, you know, you give a context, you give them responsibility. Yeah, there might be like the appreciation piece, which you might have to set, or coming to office discipline. We might have to give that based on where they come from. We might have to handhold them on the discipline piece, all of that. But you give them the context, you give them the thing, they will find better ways than we can find ways to execute. I think it's amazing what they do. What we get hung up on, why are they not following rules? Why are they asking so much questions? It's an effort to give them the context, give them the why, before telling them the what or the how. For us, you tell what, we will go do it. I think that's the cultural difference we need to get. Okay.
During our days, we didn't have that many options. Today, they have. We, as you know, the millennials and the previous generation, we are afraid that these guys have options. That's another part which is playing out.
They're amazing. They're really, really smart. I mean, they're born with the phones and the information which we didn't have. So
the one area that I think we have not really tapped into, and this is, comes from a very personal experience. The motivation actually needs to come for different things these days. And I'll give you a real life example. A lot of the young generation focused on outcome and delivery of the outcome that you spoke about. And they find ways to do the same thing that needed 3 hours earlier in 2 hours, right? Because they are focused on the outcome and they want to live a life, unlike some of us in that generation, didn't care about, life outside of work, right? But this generation cares. So they find ways of doing exactly the same through a way that is innovative. The challenge that we have today is we are not able to tap into that and make it all pervasive, because this generation, I don't think, shares enough with their peers. They don't. Right? So it's our responsibility to actually tap into it. And I think that should be what the motivation should focus on. That, look, you have created lasting value for this.
Knowledge capture.
That knowledge capture is not happening for the organization.
Basically,
which is
ethical guardrail if we can give them, rather than putting around them around.
And there are 5 team members doing exactly the same. One team member has cracked of how to do this, with less effort, less time. But how do you take that and then make it available for the 4?
Democratizing
That is not happening currently at a level it should.